I am whistling the wrong song. I need to be whistling Harry Potter. Wes is very excited as well. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Today I am making pumpkin juice, a Harry Potter staple. I've always wondered what it tastes like. I've never tasted it before and I've never made it before. So we're going to experiment. I found this recipe online and after scrolling for, an hour long because they have their whole entire family story there, like every single recipe does, which annoys me to no end, I realized that I didn't really like this recipe. There's a few substitutes that I'm going to do, but I will link the original recipe in the description. So check the description if you want to follow this exactly by the books. We don't follow things exactly by the books here. I'm making mine a little different. This one was also served cold. We're going to serve ours warm. I have one qualm that I don't have, which I wish I had, which is this guy, the apple juice. I wish I had apple cider. I think this would taste significantly better with apple cider, but we're going to make apple juice work with what we have because that's kind of all we have. I did have another thing. I had Honeycrisp apple juice, which this is just a personal favorite of mine. I love this. I love Honeycrisp apples. Gala are typically some of my favorite. Fuji are probably my absolute favorite, but Honeycrisp are delicious, but they're a bit tangier. So I was going to potentially use this, but I don't think this would actually pair very well with the pumpkin because I think it needs to be a bit more muted, which is why I think apple cider would be significantly better than apple juice because apple juice does have a little bit of a tang to it as well. So I know this might sound ridiculous, but if you go to your local apple orchard, if you live near any kind of apple orchard, like everyone lives by an apple orchard, if you go, ask them for apple cider because they generally have it very, very fresh and it's very, very good. I live in the northeast of the US, so I live by apple orchards. I don't really ever do that, to be honest, but our apple cider in most grocery stores are very fresh and from those local farms. So it's really delicious. So let's get going. A lot of the oh, I didn't wash it. Well, that's truly annoying. I have my pot that I did not just wash because I had soup in it. We're gonna set it to warm. I don't think it necessarily matters how warm you keep it. Maybe there's gonna be some chefs out there who really get on my case about that. But I'm gonna just turn it to high heat for a little bit until I warm this up a little. This entire recipe should take very, very quickly. It should not be very, very long. I am going to half this recipe as well. There's a lot of people that said you need 2 liters of apple cider. That is an insane amount of apple cider. I am using one of these, which is about 1.9 liters. So we dumped the whole entire thing into this pot. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit before I add some of my other ingredients. But this is a very, very simple recipe. All that you really need, and I'll walk you through the ingredients. Pumpkin pie spice. This thing is gold. I love it. Very small felling, very fall smelling. It's delicious. This is a substitute that we have for the recipe. The recipe calls for a half a cup. So if you're gonna follow the recipe exactly, it's 4 liters of apple cider, and then it's a half a cup of sugar, and then a half a cup of brown sugar. I don't like white sugar or brown sugar, and I would very much like to live past the year of 40. So I'm substituting 2 ingredients that I find are healthier and actually a little tastier. The first is maple syrup. I think maple syrup will go great in this recipe. I'm actually very excited to put maple syrup into this. And the second one is coconut sugar. I almost forgot what this was for a second. I would prefer date sugar. Date sugar is my favorite. There was a time when I was a vegan and I didn't use anything but natural ingredients, and I still do that when I cook a lot of times. But date sugar I think is the best sugar. It's one of my favorites, but it's very expensive. Very, very expensive. So I'm gonna use coconut sugar because I don't want to waste a lot of date sugar on this, although I think date sugar would completely taste better. Another thing that you can do is you can use date paste, which is a little bit less expensive, or you can actually get dates. I used to do this all the time, and this is actually delicious. You can get dates, boil them or soften them for like 30 minutes in warm water, then blend them with a little bit of water and possibly a little bit of vanilla extract, and it makes this really, really nice paste that you can put in this drink that I think would make it really, really good. The only thing is you would have to, you'd have to like let this puree for a significant period of time, and it would have to be a little bit watery and a little bit runny, because I think thick paste in this wouldn't mix very well. I think it would just settle at the bottom. And so whenever you're making this, you probably need to stir it up every single time you drink it. That's probably what I'm gonna do, because I think all the ingredients like the pumpkin and maybe even the maple syrup are gonna kind of settle at the bottom after every single time I put it in the fridge. The other thing that you need is obviously organic pumpkin. If you are using 4 liters, you're gonna need this entire can. I'm only gonna use half of that can. You don't get pumpkin pie filling. Although, I will admit, if you get pumpkin pie filling, Wes is kind of sick of me. He was sitting by the doorstep right there and he just got up and left. If you use pumpkin pie filling, I think it would taste delicious, but pumpkin pie filling is filled with a lot of artificial sweeteners, all that kind of stuff. Although I do, to be completely honest, think that adding that would be absolutely delicious. But I am adding pumpkin. We're making a little bit healthier of a version today. Not like, you know, the healthiest thing in the world. But the last thing you need is vanilla extract. Or I think a few other things would be good in this recipe too. I have almond extract. I'm not gonna use it because I think vanilla extract would go a little bit better. But if you have almond extract, I love the smell of almond extract. And I think that would go phenomenally in a pumpkin juice. Almonds and pumpkin to me go really well. I'm actually deciding and deliberating right now whether I want to put almond extract in this rather than vanilla extract. I think I'm gonna stick with vanilla, although I think almond extract would be fantastic. So it's not really warmed up yet, maybe a tiny bit, but we're gonna start adding our ingredients. Just because why not? I think the first thing I'm gonna add is the pumpkin. I think this needs to kind of warm up with the apple juice, maybe to get the flavors meshing and melding. So all you're gonna do, I mean, you don't need to do this, you're probably an adult. Just take a little bit of this, just drop it all in there. I'm only using half of this container. I might give the other half later to Wes, or I might make like a smoothie with it later, or I love a good pumpkin smoothie. I'm just taking half of that and dumping it in there. It does not look very appetizing right now. It just looks like 3 lumps that are just kind of like floating around in there. So I'm gonna mix this up and just let it warm up with the apple juice for a little bit. This goes back in the fridge because we're saving that for later. I do love pumpkin. Some people hate pumpkin flavored things. I'm a pumpkin slut. I love pumpkin in anything. Give me a good pumpkin pie or like a pumpkin tart. Maybe next time we'll make pumpkin pasties or pumpkin pasties. Sorry, they're not pasties. Pasties are something completely different, as many British people have told me because of our mispronunciation of that on the podcast. We only say pumpkin pasties and it's pumpkin pasties. Pumpkin pasties are probably something totally different. Don't look that up. All right, so this is already smelling delicious. You know something? Okay, so we're flying by the seam of our pants, the seat of our pants. What's the phrase? I don't know. We're gonna do one more thing. Pumpkin pie spice has cinnamon in it, and pumpkin pie spice is delicious. But I wanna make my house smell aromatic, so I'm gonna take a cinnamon stick and just dump it in there because I think that would be delicious. Also, it might seem like I know what I'm talking about with cooking. I don't. I just experiment and mess around. That's what makes it fun. I actually really enjoy cooking. Sometimes, actually, I take that back. There are times when I go through phases of cooking and not really baking. I don't bake a ton. But there are times when I go through phases of cooking where I love it and that's all I want to do. And there are times where I don't. I am at the moment in a time where I don't really enjoy cooking all that much. Although, right now it's kind of fun. It's kind of cathartic. It kind of relaxes me a little bit. All right, so we're gonna dump some of the coconut sugar in. I am a little hesitant to put the coconut sugar in because I don't know how well this is gonna mesh with the pumpkin, but we're just gonna experiment and try things. I think that's the name of the game. I am not someone who follows a recipe to a T. I think you should just experiment. I think you should just have fun with any recipe that you have. Make it your own, whatever flavors that you like, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna take a wooden spoon rather than this actual spoon. You might be asking yourself, why do I have maple syrup in a wine glass? I don't really have an answer to that. It was the only clear piece of glass that I had that was good for presentation. And if you don't think that I have an entire B-roll set of me dumping the maple syrup and the, what is that called? Coconut sugar into these, you're dead wrong. I have that. So we're just gonna take this and just stir it around. Again, I think this is the simplest thing. I don't think anybody really needs a video on this, but you're gonna get a video on this. It smells good. That tastes like soup from the soup I made yesterday. We're gonna use a different wooden spoon because I probably need to wash that better. That's disgusting. Okay, we're gonna add these 3 things in, really make it smell good. I think the maple syrup is gonna be perfect with this. For you Canadians, bless your heart for this. Use real maple syrup, please. Don't use the fake stuff with all the sugar in it. Real maple syrup is just significantly better anyway. Oh, it's so good. That's one of those things that I love maple syrup. I actually hate it, but I love it. Anytime I'm at like a diner, I live in the Northeast and we're famous for our diners. And anytime I go to a diner and have like, you know, my pancakes coated in maple syrup or like French toast coated in maple syrup, I feel like crap after. I feel so terrible. But this is the real stuff. You don't feel quite as bad because it's not loaded with sugar, but I love it. It's just so sweet and so good. I have a real sweet tooth. Which actually reminds me, I was just in a debate with someone about the better drink. I'm a big port fan. I love port. I love really sweet tasting things, which maybe isn't the most manly thing in the world. But I think if you're trying to make this spiked, I think a whiskey would be really, really delicious in this. If you just add a little bit of a spike of whiskey or bourbon to it. And I think that would actually make it taste really good. Because it's gonna get that like smoky flavor to it. And I think it would just be delicious. I need like one of those catchphrases that Emerald used to use, like BAM. I don't have one of those, but we'll figure one out. It is smelling pretty good. That's not bad. You're gonna use just a teaspoon of this. I don't really measure teaspoons and tablespoons. I kind of just eyeball it. So that seems about a teaspoon. That seems good enough. And then pumpkin pie spice, you're gonna need about a teaspoon of this too, but again, I think it just depends on what you have. Actually, not a teaspoon, because a teaspoon is for 4 liters. You're gonna want a half a teaspoon, which I already dumped in too much vanilla extract, so. But with this, I think you can add a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of that flavor, that like fall flavor of the pumpkin. But again, it's all up to you. Especially with things like that, just eyeball them. And what we're gonna just do is we're just gonna let this sit. You can do this cold, and you can kind of just stir it and until all the ingredients meet. But I want my house smelling like this, so I'm just gonna let this simmer on this pot until maybe for like 2 or 3 minutes. So my house gets really nice and aromatic, and all the flavors kind of mesh and mold together. I hope that doesn't taste like soup, because I just washed that from like some chili soup that I had made. So hopefully this apple cider doesn't taste like chili. This is the receptacle that we are going to drink from. Is receptacle the right word? I don't know, but we'll roll with it. This really does smell very good. I'm very curious to try it. I think it's going to taste a bit more apple juicy, because you're adding pretty much the entire ingredient is apple juice, rather than pumpkin-y, which I'm really curious about. I think pumpkin juice actually itself is something completely different. Obviously, it's probably more pumpkin than it is apple juice. Wes is very excited about that comment. Hey, what are you barking at? Come here. Come here, get over here, you little punk. What are you barking at? It's okay. It's okay, we're safe. What? Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Who's a good boy? He's a very good boy. He's a very good boy. Okay, this is simmered for I think long enough. We're just gonna test it now. We're gonna stir this, let it sit for a little bit. I am a weenie when it comes to really hot things. I don't really like coffee, but if I drink coffee or tea, I usually have tea a bit more often than coffee. If I have it, I cannot have it piping hot and piping boiling when it comes out of the kettle. I need to let it sit and let it, you know, just cool down a little bit because I'm kind of a weenie when it comes to really hot things. My little tongue can't handle that. I don't have a ladle. I need a ladle. I don't want to just pour this in there. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take this measuring cup and just kind of ladle it in there. This is good enough to be a ladle. Anything could be a ladle if you want it to be. Okay, here's our pumpkin juice. It's like very sedimenty. It looks really interesting. It actually looks beautiful. And it's very hot. Very hot. This is like a very good like party drink, I think. I don't think you want to be drinking this kind of stuff on the regular. Doesn't seem like the healthiest thing. To expedite the process, I'm going to just dump in 2 ice cubes. Or maybe 4 ice cubes. Ugh. Come on. There we go. All right, we're gonna let these ice cubes get all the way down because there's nothing worse than when you're drinking and ice cubes just attack your teeth. Hate that. I absolutely hate that. I think they serve pumpkin juice at Universal Studios or like any Harry Potter location. I'm actually curious what their ingredient list would be. I wish they would release some of that stuff. Like, they would make a killing if they release like some kind of Harry Potter cookbook. They probably have one out there that they've already done. They've already made millions in that I just don't know about. But bottoms up, let's taste it. That is not bad. Okay, that is surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be. Not that I thought it was going to be bad, but it's pretty good. This is like warming. This like warms the soul. Wow. Wow. It tastes, okay, this is going to sound stupid. It tastes like muted apple juice. Like apple juice, you know, has that tang to it. And I know you're saying muted apple juice is just apple cider. I think it needs maybe a little bit more pumpkin to bring out the pumpkin flavor, but you can definitely taste the pumpkin in it. Maybe some more pumpkin pie spice. This is like, okay, this is what you need to do. When you're having your Harry Potter marathons, make this because it is absolutely delicious. And this will, like I have a whole tub of right there. Just make this and enjoy. It's delicious. It's actually truly delicious. I'm very, very surprised by this. Although you can already see the sediment is starting to settle at the bottom. So as soon as I like, you know, container this up and put it in my fridge, I guarantee you all the pumpkin is going to just go right to the bottom. So I'm going to have to shake it up anytime I have it. I'm not going to have you just sit and watch me drink this for the next 20 minutes, but this is a delicious warm drink for a cold day. Like this is a winter drink. I know, you know, it's pumpkin, so it should be fall. This is a winter drink. This warms the soul. This is those drinks that you have in January or February when you're really depressed because your seasonal depression's kicking in, and it just kind of wears that away ever so slightly. It is so good. I'm actually excited to have this for the rest of the week. I don't know what would make this better. I think almond extract would actually be really, really, really good in this. But this is delicious. I'm gonna drink the rest of this while I edit this video. And let me know in the comments what you think I should make below. I'm probably gonna try pumpkin pasties, not pumpkin pasties. But if you think anything else that I should try or that I should cook, just let me know in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to this channel. We do a bunch of Harry Potter nerdy stuff. We do Lord of the Rings. We do a bunch of other nerdy stuff that, you know, we are a bunch of nerds here and we like first time reads and we like, you know, just to experience those things with other nerdy people. So make sure you subscribe if you like that content. I'll definitely come out with more cooking videos. This was fun to make. And like the video, comment, all that kind of boring stuff that I always say at the end of the videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining me in my little dirty kitchen. Although I did throw away my apple juice container in my trash, and I realized I need it in order to put that stuff in there. Bye.